Ah yes, it is I, Alex the Unquotable, and welcome back to another Don't Quote Me on That, in that no one will quote me on this. Except a friend of mine did quote me on the very first video we put up, so thank you, Fee. You've completely ruined the entire point of this naming process. Before we begin, spoilers for this upcoming review, because this is still out in cinemas, and spoilers. Anyway, what am I talking about today? I'm talking about How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World! Yes, How to Train Your Dragon is back for its third and final installment into its franchise. But maybe not the end of the story. So this is the third in the How to Train Your Dragon series, one of the best animated trilogies I've ever seen. One of the best animated franchises I've ever seen. I got into this way back when the first one came out. In what, I want to say 2011. It came out in 2011, I think. I could be wrong on that, but I love this franchise. I've loved it since the first movie, love the second one, love this one. So you can probably tell this is going to be a good review. So, a little recap of the story for you. Set 1 year after How to Train Your Dragon 2, Berk is thriving. Berk, underneath Hiccup's rule as the chief, has become a dragon Viking utopia, with Hiccup and the other dragon riders, including his mother and Eret, are going out to stop dragon hunters, freeing the dragons and bringing them back to Berk. But it's getting a little bit too big and a bit too crowded. The bigger the city gets, the less defended that they are, despite the fact that they have their own army of dragons, and Toothless, who is the king of dragons, the alpha, and is making sure that they're all behaving. Really, I don't see what the issue is. If an enemy army rocks up, Toothless can fly out there with an entire army of dragons and just obliterate them. But there are warlords on the horizon, and the warlords are not happy with the fact that their entire dragon army is being stolen. So, who do they get? They get a man by the name of Grimille. I think his name is Grimille. I hope it's Grimille. I'm just going to call him Grimille. They get a guy by the name of Grimille, and Grimille is an expert dragon killer. And not only that, the warlords hire Grimille to go to Berk and get back their dragons, and promise him that he can kill the Night Fury if he wants to. And Grimille likes the challenge. But will he be a worthy adversary for Hiccup? Apparently so, because Hiccup's immediate idea after he faces Grimille the first time and his house gets burned down is, let's go and find the Hidden World. Now, the Hidden World is a place that Stoic has been telling Hiccup about ever since he was a child, and says that when he grows up, so Stoic's motivation is actually explored in this film a bit more, and he says to Hiccup in a flashback, I want to find the Hidden World, and I want to seal it up, so that there are no more dragons for my people to be hurt by. You know, there are no more dragons in the world, so you, Hiccup, can be safe. And I thought that was pretty good. Yeah. So, Hiccup decides the best place to go is to the Hidden World, aka described as, at the edge of the world, beyond the giant waterfall, there is a place where all dragons come from, the ancestral home of all dragons. And that's where they're going. So they head west away from Grimille and the warlords to try and find the Hidden World. They find a place to settle, they call it New Berk, while they continue their search. But there is trouble in the wind. For there is a female Night Fury, a Light Fury. And it turns out that Night Furies mate for life. So as soon as Toothless sees the Light Fury, well, sparks fly. And from there on, Toothless leaves them to go with the Light Fury, to be with her in the Hidden World, but also leaves Berk defenseless. Then Grimille shows up. He kidnaps the Light Fury and uses it as hostage to make sure that Toothless leads all the dragons to the warlords. Except jokes, because all the riders have that fly suit thing that Hiccup had last time, and they land on the warlord ship, free Toothless, free the Night Fury, and all the dragons bust out and burn down the warlord's entire fleet in one swift movement. And it was glorious. As you can tell, I really like this film. I think it was really good. It's still fresh in my mind. So before we start on characters, I just want to do a bit of analysis on the story. Now, The story has picked up, and it picked up well. With a 5-year gap between the first and second How to Train Your Dragon, transitioning Hiccup from a teenager to an adult, he is now 21 years old and the Chieftain of Berk. I think that this is a really good to keep these two films really close together, and I love how they make time progress. It's very clear that Drago was defeated a year ago, Stoic died a year ago, and that Berk has flourished in that time. And the story was really good. If anything, I really enjoyed the amount of detail that the How to Train Your Dragon team put into their world. Here's the thing, I've watched all the How to Train Your Dragon movies, the specials. I watched the series that was on Cartoon Network, The Riders and Defenders of Berk, and I've been keeping up with Race to the Edge. Both really good series. If you've got kids that love How to Train Your Dragon, show them these. They're really good for both adults and kids. I really enjoyed them, but I digress. I just love the amount of detail that they put into the story. So much so that someone like me, a How to Train Your Dragon veteran, can watch the film and see the small details. For instance, when Hiccup lets Toothless go after the Light Fury, well, Toothless needs a tail in order to fly. So he does what he did in the Christmas special, Gift of the Night Fury, and makes Toothless a new tail. And it's quite clearly said within the film by Astrid, you did this once before and he didn't like it then. Which means that they're referencing Gift of the Night Fury. And I love this because not everyone does this. I reference Shrek for the most notable example, or Madagascar. These franchises are both very big. They've both got offshoot television series and offshoot movies and all sorts of things. But they're not very good at staying consistent within their own canon. For instance, Shrek has Shrek the Halls, and events happen in that before the fourth movie that are never referenced again. Same with Madagascar. Christmas at the Zoo, never, any of their shorts, never referenced again within the main line of stories. How to Train Your Dragon has paid so much attention to their own franchise that they even made a reference to their Christmas special. But not only that, they made a reference to their own TV show. And I mean this in the form of Hiccup's teddy dragon that he carries in one of the flashbacks when he's a child. Now, what does this mean? Allow me to explain. In the series of How to Train Your Dragon, I believe it was the Defenders of Berk, Trader Johan, a friendly neighborhood sailor who frequents Berk often, is coming to Berk with a treasure and a message for Stoic. But it's not a treasure for Stoic, it's a treasure for Hiccup from his mother. And this is before we knew that Valka was alive. When he gets the treasure chest, Hiccup opens it, and inside he finds the dragon doll, the same one he's holding in the movie. And Stoic tells him that when he was a kid, he had the dragon doll, but he was scared of dragons and he threw it into the sea. And recently it was dredged up, and someone recognized it as Hiccup's, as Stoic's. So they decided to give it back to him via Trader Johan. And I thought that was really good. I love that attention to detail. The only thing they didn't mention was a character named Heather, and all the side characters from the Race to the Edge series that were all very important. If you don't know who Heather is, she is another dragon rider from another tribe of Vikings, and throughout the Race to the Edge series, it's very well established that she and Fishlegs have an ongoing relationship. And in the last episode of Race to the Edge, they drop all of that establishment for no apparent reason, just to set up the maybe relationship between Fishlegs and Ruffnut, as well as Snotlout and Ruffnut, and never mention Heather ever again, which is kind of sad. I hope she returns, because I believe they're making another series, but we'll continue with that later. But yes, the amount of detail that they put into this film was amazing. The fact that Drago's bewildered beast appears in the hidden world, as well as all these other dragons. Previous dragons return, even minor dragon characters return, and new ones. The new dragons are amazing. The story was really well done, and it's really enjoyable. It's very much the same message as Wreck-It Ralph. If you love something, let it go. Friends have different paths. They fall apart. Friendships fall apart. friendships go in different parts, but it doesn't mean that the friendship wasn't real. And just because two people are close doesn't mean that you're strong separately. In essence, they did Wreck-It Ralph's message better than Wreck-It Ralph did, and they didn't have to mention it every 5 minutes. The message of the story was essentially about letting go of your friends, being stronger on your own as well as together, and knowing that although a friendship has ended, it doesn't mean that it is truly gone, and that what happened during that friendship is still real. And I thought that was really good. It was a really good message. It's a very important message for kids to understand and for adults to understand. Now, the characters. Returning to Berk is, of course, Hiccup. 1 year older, chieftain of Berk, and just as clever. He's essentially made Berk into a utopia. And as you can see, his inventions are everywhere, making things and life better for everyone on Berk, Dragon and Viking. Now, I like it in this one because Hiccup has really come into his own as a chief, I think. He was a lot more confident in what he did, he was a lot more sure of himself. The only times he wasn't confident is when he was without Toothless, when people mentioned that Toothless might not come back, and that was important. It was established in the last movie that Hiccup was not confident being chief because he was afraid he'd never live up to the name of his father. But it was proved at the end of How to Train Your Dragon 2 that he could live up to his father's name in the fact that he defended Berk. In this story, it's a lot more about him coming into his own without Toothless, and I think they did a really good job of that, framing the two separately. So who else is returning? Well, of course, Astrid has returned, and Astrid and Hiccup are a lot closer now. It's kind of amazing how much the relationship between Toothless and Light Fury and Hiccup and Astrid parallel so well, in the fact that in the first movie, that relationship was kind of starting between Hiccup and Astrid, but they were really just really good friends. And then in the second movie, they were a lot further along in that relationship. It's actually revealed in the series that they were in fact engaged at that point. In fact, go watch the series if you're a Hiccup and Astrid lover. You get a lot more development between the two, lots of sweet private moments, lots of moments where you get to see their characters grow together. Now this film was very much about Astrid getting very close to Hiccup and the two of them deciding when they're going to marry. It was very clear the fact that they were in a relationship and that they were betrothed in this. I really like that. And it ends with their wedding, which I was very happy for. But yeah, it was a good story. Astrid definitely developed more. She's still a warrior, still one of the best in the tribe, and I think she did a really good job in this film. But the thing is, she's not just a warrior. She's also Hiccup's greatest human friend, in the fact that she helps him to understand who he is without Toothless, to help him understand that he is more without Toothless than he thinks he is. And I think that was really good, to see Astrid's softer side. In the past two movies, she's really been gun-ho, axe-waving. But you know, she's also smart as well as strong. And we've known that previously, but we got to see a softer side to her in this story, and I really liked that. I really thought they did it well. Now, besides that, Fishlegs returns. Fishlegs returns. He's got a mustache now. He's carrying around a baby Grunkle. He seemed to be doing well. You didn't see a whole lot of him in the film, but from what you did saw, he was funny. I always enjoy good Fishlegs. Snotlout was there. Snotlout's trying to win Valka's favor. I guess he gave up on Astrid and is now trying to win over Hiccup's mom? Which is weird? I don't know. But Snotlout spent most of this story, you know, either trying to promote himself better than Eret, who he thinks is a threat to a possible relationship with Hiccup's mother, or getting stuck at the very beginning of battles and just kind of failing. Not sure how I felt about that. I kind of like Snotlout. I know he's kind of, you know, the bragging proud type, but there was some real development between the first movie and the second movie for him. It would have been nice to see a bit more in this film. Twins were back. Very interesting to see that TJ Miller did not return. I suspected he wouldn't, but you could definitely tell that they were trying to give more screen time to the twins, as there was this whole section with Tough Nut on his own talking to Hiccup and Rough Nut on her own, being a prisoner and escaping. They both did a really good job. I both enjoyed those characters. They both come along. Eret's back. Eret, son of Eret. He did a, I would like to have seen more of him. He was in this film, but not a whole lot. Seeing a bit more of him would have been nice. Valka is back, played by Cate Blanchett. She also wasn't shown as much, but she was more of a wise woman in this film than the warrior that she was in the previous. And I think she did a good job in it. I would have liked to have seen a bit more of her doing more action-y, writer things than just kind of hanging back and going to Astrid. Oh no, I take that back. Her helping Astrid to help Hiccup was very important, and I did enjoy that because it was her helping Astrid learn the role of a chiefess, like she did with Stoic. I thought that was really good. And Stoic is back, and we learn Stoic is back in flashbacks, so more Gerard Butler voice. But we also got to learn a bit more of Stoic's motivation for being a dragon-killing chief in the first movie. It's kind of revealed in flashbacks between him and a younger Hiccup that the reason he was killing dragons wasn't for, blood, sport, and family, but it was for survival. It was to build a better world for his son. And that's really what any man would go to war for if he had a child. Not to let them live in a time of tyranny and fear, but to try and face the evil so that they can grow up in a safer world. And I think they did a good job of that, explaining that extremely complicated moral point in this story for children. I don't know. I just really enjoy TVs and films that treat kids more than kids and actually tell them important moral gray areas and story points that they really should know and that adults still haven't fully grasped. But besides that, let's talk about the villain, Grimille. Yes. Now, Grimille was a smart character, a smart villain. And I can appreciate that. He was very much a chess player. He was a bit like Vigo from the series of How to Train Your Dragon, but he seemed a bit more manipulative, a bit more clever. Whereas Vigo is sort of clever, but still a bit of a brute, and knows lots about dragons that Hiccup doesn't, and constantly trying to outplay Hiccup. He does become a good person in the end, because there's a bigger threat, and the thing is that Hiccup knows things about dragons that he doesn't. But this guy, Grimille, he knew more about Night Furies than anyone else, which means that he was a huge threat. He was a huge threat to Hiccup because he knows lots about dragons, he knows how to control them without training them. And he thinks that Hiccup's ideas of living alongside dragons is a dangerous thought, that it will cause the extension of the species. And he is very much a tactical character. There was no point that I was watching him and he did something to hinder the heroes and I thought, oh, that's just a Deus Ex Machina, they're just trying to make you seem like you're some all-powerful knowledge god. No, he had ideas and thoughts and plans ahead of time that were effective against the heroes and the way that they think. Yeah, none of the characters acted out than they usually would, and Grimille, he was established and he did a really good job. I thought he was a really good dragon hunter. I loved his dragons, the ones he worked with, that shot acid, that caught fire and had scorpion tails. I think he was a really good character. I honestly would have liked to have seen a bit more of him. I would have liked it if he had a bit of more of a past with Berk, because there's a part where he's standing in the remains of the old Berk, which has been abandoned, and going, let me enjoy this, I haven't been here for so long. And I just thought, are you telling me that he lived here? I thought he was a good villain. If anything, he's an opposite to Hiccup, because he says, I found the Night Fury sleeping, but unlike you, I didn't show it mercy. I killed it while it slept. And I thought, oh, you are just an evil Hiccup, aren't you? And he was. And he was smart, clever, and evil. And considering the past two villains we had were Giant Dragon Brute and Dragon Warlord, who was all about savagery and control through savagery, I thought it was good that we had a villain who was just mistrustful of all dragons, using them purely as weapons, and just here to kill them all, as well as being intelligent. I thought that was very important. I thought he was a really good villain. Besides that, let's talk about the world. I love this world. I wish dragons were still around. I hope they're still around. Is there a hidden world out there in real life where I can find myself a storm cutter and ride that thing? I hope so. I will find it. But, if anything, this story, the world is amazing. You gotta love the world here. Watching Burke progress over the past 6 years of story time is remarkable. It kind of looks like a Pokemon evolution, almost, for a town. Basic town, Dragon Town, Super Dragon Town. It was remarkable to see that. It was cool to see the town at the very end that they built, New Burke, on top of some cliffs. And it was good to see the progress that they've made there, and that Hiccup's designs still show through, that his ingenuity is still present. The landscape is just beautiful. The animation is beautiful. The water has gotten better. Somehow. I don't know how, but it's remarkable. I love it. Dragon designs, new and old, are on point. They're amazing. Really, I wish that a bit more effort. Really, I hope that some of the animators from this film go on to do something else for DreamWorks. Maybe go work for Kung Fu Panda for a little bit, because they need help there. I mean, the effects in Kung Fu Panda are pretty good, but if they took some of the guys who did the water and the fireball and the dragon effects from this and put them in Kung Fu Panda, be a little bit better. Just be there for me. But the world is remarkable. I love how it's designed. I love the hidden world. I love New Burke. I love Old Burke. I love the warlords and their armada. I love the dragons. The dragons are amazing. Toothless has a special place in my heart. It's a remarkable film. So, what do I rate this film? I rate this film 10 out of 10. Yes, first 10 out of 10. This is 10 smiling toothlesses out of 10 smiling toothlesses. Yes, this is a good film. Go see it while it's in cinema. Buy the DVD. Watch it on Netflix. Show it to your children. Show them the whole trilogy. This is a good set of films to see. There's no bad morals, no bad messaging, just beauty and awesomeness and questions that children need to learn about and need to ask themselves, as well as some adults. And as well, Toothless is always a big loving point for all sorts of people. Hiccup, the characters are amazing, they're wonderful. I'm kind of just sad that it's over, but it might not be. There might be a show coming to Netflix soon, which will be set after the second Dragon movie and before this one. And I'm hoping to see the return of these characters for just one last time. If not, I'm buying all the movies. I'm going to watch them all. I'm going to show them to my kids. This is a good franchise with some good messages that kids need to hear about. I've been Alex the Unquotable. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe to the Unquotables for more of these reviews, as well as some other videos that I'm sure will be releasing soon, depending on my schedule of editing. Please leave a comment down below for whatever reviews you want us to have a look at, whether it's films that have come out or old films that you want us to just watch and talk about. And in the comments below, tell us your favourite part of How to Train Your Dragon 3. What did you enjoy? Did you enjoy it? Would you give it a 10 out of 10? We don't know. You tell us! So, please go and do that, and I will see you next time.